Ahoy rum explorers, I'm Nia, I'm a rum enthusiast, and today we're exploring Topper's Spiced Rum from St Maarten. So today we're going to talk about the distillery and their history, also the background of how this rum was created because it's quite interesting, the history of this island that makes it so unique, and how I got this bottle. So grab a drink and come plunder some rum with me. Got your drink? It's officially rum time. So as mentioned before, today we're going to explore Topper's Spiced Rum. Now, quite difficult to find information on this rum, but let's start with the distillery. So in 1994, Topper's is named after one of the owners. Mr. opened up a restaurant in St Maarten in 1994. Very popular restaurants. He has a couple on the island. They're really well known for their food. But interesting story behind this rum and how it evolved is he used to give bottles to his guests just to thank them for their patronage and for staying and for enjoying their delicious food, and it just became a thing. Apparently the rum was so good that people wanted to buy it, and his wife is in marketing and she decided to basically push the brand into a direction to where they can export. So this specific distillery is the only spirit distilled and exported from St Maarten, so it's really interesting. Now, in 2008 is when they officially started, selling and exporting the rum. Interesting story behind it is that they used to make it at their house, which is quite interesting. And then they moved into a 6,000 square foot facility. And now they've evolved to having 6 different expressions. So they do have a white rum. They have this spiced one, and the one that I'm most interested, that if you have tried, make sure you put a comment down below, is the banana vanilla. That kind of everybody's talking about, that reminds them of Bananas Foster, and I'm a huge fan of Banana Foster. So 6 expressions. The only thing that kind of surprises me is that they do spell rum R-H-U-M, like the French version, which is typically used in rums that come from sugarcane juice. This is not from sugarcane juice. This is from blackstrap molasses or C-graded molasses. Now, if you're not familiar with the grading system, it's A, B, C, and let me tell you, grade A through C, there's no better quality. It's just a difference in flavoring. And usually C has gone through a triple process in order to get it as a black strap. And a lot of the Caribbean islands use this kind of molasses because it tends to bring out a sweeter rum and a naturally sweet in rum. Now this one, unfortunately, I couldn't get any information regarding exactly what they add, but I'm assuming it's their white rum and added some spices like vanilla, cardamom, the typical spices. But if you're not familiar with St Maarten, I'm gonna put some pictures here. They're world renowned for their interesting airport that basically lands over your head as you're enjoying the beach. I unfortunately have not been, but it's definitely one of those locations that I would love to visit. I've been to St. Thomas and a couple of other islands in the Caribbean, but not this one. Would love to go see their distillery. The bottle is quite unique. They're actually known for being eco-friendly, so you can actually reuse this bottle for spices, oil, and anything you wish. So let's go ahead and go through this review. This is gonna be an interesting open for me. Okay. Ooh, that's a pretty big pop. Oh, by the way, this is supposed to be 80 proof, so I'm expecting a little bit of a hug. I can already smell the vanilla. And being that it is blackstrap molasses, I would hope that they didn't add too much sugar. And let's start with that Glencairn. Oh, the coloring, if you want to look at it, it's a really dark amber. Yeah, this is definitely a true amber. Please remember that with these rums that have additives, you really don't want to focus on the legs because the legs are altered and they're not a true designation of what the spirit is going to be like. because at the end of the day they are additives, and that will sometimes make the legs more lanky or longer or slower on the drip. Okay, so as mentioned, I can smell the vanilla, the cinnamon, and now let's go ahead and try it. Cheers. Okay, that's a little bit on the sweeter side, but not too sweet. This doesn't really taste to me like a spiced rum. I feel like with it being 80 proof, you do get a little bit of a hug, more than I expected. But as far as spices, it's like missing a little. It's like I can taste the vanilla and the cinnamon, but that's it. Usually if it is spiced, they add a lot more spices, and usually it tends to overwhelm my palate personally. I liked more of the naturally spiced rums, kind of like Privateer. But this is, oh, the other thing that surprised me is that they called their rum a sipping rum. And when it tends to be this sweet, usually I would consider this a mixing rum or a dessert rum. Not so much a sipping rum per se. But it's quite enjoyable. And as far as, let me see if I can detect any other notes, but it smells very, very sweet. The taste is on the sweeter side, but not overwhelming. So if you have tried, just for comparison's sake, there is this rum from St. Kitts called Shipwreck. If you have tried that rum, I personally think that one is way too sweet. This one is kind of like, yes, it does have additives, but it's not so sweet to where you're like, oh, cringing, because it's like too sweet. I would add a couple of ice cubes to mellow this out. Pretty enjoyable. Now let me nose the neat and see what else I can detect. This neat glass is killing me. There's like, most spirits are usually like very neutral in this glass. I'm basically smelling the alcohol, and that's to where it's like burning my nose hairs kind of thing. It's more like, it smells like alcohol, and I can smell the vanilla, and that's about it. With the Glencairn, I'm getting a lot more notes in there, so I'm enjoying them a little bit more. I'm gonna take a little sip of water to cleanse my palate. Let's try this one. Cheers. That's really interesting. It really mellowed out the sweetness. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that you don't lose the rum flavor in this one. I personally don't actually like it in the neat. I'm getting kind of like it neutralizes a lot of the taste. You can taste the rum, but it tastes a little bit chemically. And I know that they say they add natural flavors, but there's a difference between infusing elements or natural components such as vanilla, natural cinnamon, or adding the flavoring. This is giving me a little bit of a hint after trying this that yes, they might be natural flavors or organic flavorings, but I don't like it in this. I'm sorry. In this Glencairn, go a little heavy-handed this time with my pirate pours, so yeah. But this one's pretty good in this glass. Okay, so as far as the journal rum type, this is gonna be a spiced rum. Supposedly, to me, it tastes more like a flavored rum, so I think I'm gonna change it to flavored. As far as the Gargano rum time classification, I'm gonna say that this is a single blended rum because I did see in a lot of the videos they had a hybrid still. So it goes through a pot and column distillation. It was quite a small still, but hey, if they're producing, that's awesome for them. And then as far as the Royal Rum Society's taste classification, this is gonna be an 8BM. 8 because it's a lot more on the sweeter side. B, it's a little bit on the blander. Remember, it's A through G. A is bland. So this is honestly, it's a little bit on the blender side. I thought it was going to be more complex because it says it's a spiced rum. So I expected more than just cinnamon and vanilla in it. And then as far as the Whiskey Exchange flavor camps, I gave this a rich and trickly because it is on the sweeter side. It's blackstrap molasses. They added vanilla, they added natural flavoring, so that's what I gave it. How I got this bottle, thank you to my friend Enrique. He brought me this bottle from his trip from St Maarten. So I don't know the actual pricing, but I did see a range between $20 to $30, and in some cases it went down to like $18. So for the price point, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Now in Florida, we do have access to quite a lot of rums within that pricing. Now would I go out there and buy this? Yes, if I'm gonna make a rum cake, in all honesty. I wouldn't buy this as a sipper or a drinking rum. It doesn't really appeal to my palate. I feel like this would be great for people that like making cocktails or rum and cokes. Like it's kind of giving me that mixing vibe kind of thing. But if you do like rums that are on the sweeter side, vanilla forward, cinnamon, but not too overpowering with the spices, this might be a rum for you. But if you don't like rums added, then this is definitely not for you, because this has you know, you can tell it definitely has vanilla and cinnamon and potentially some sugar. Unfortunately, I didn't see anything on their website, and there's nothing on the bottle besides the typical disclosures to be responsible when you drink, and then a little bit of who imports this into the US. So if you are not a subscriber, make sure you do so. I do have in the background the bottle that I'll be reviewing next, so make sure you put in the comments down below if you can figure out what that bottle is going to be. But thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to the next rum. Cheers! Hey, do you like spiced rums like this one that I just reviewed? Make sure you check out this video. Let me know how you like it.